How does a spiritual leader transform the lives of his followers and reshape his mission even as his own health deteriorates? In this chapter, we delve into Swami Vivekananda's tireless efforts to expand his order's activities and his visionary establishment of the Advaita Ashram. Discover the profound teachings and unwavering dedication of a man who exemplified the true spirit of selfless service and unyielding commitment. In this episode, we explore the dynamic period of Swami Vivekananda's life as he spearheaded the growth of his order and faced personal health challenges. From the establishment of the Advaita Ashram in the Himalayas to his relentless dedication to training future monks, Swami Vivekananda's efforts were nothing short of extraordinary. Join us as we uncover his tireless work, profound teachings, and the legacy he sought to build for future generations. The Swami was happy to watch the steady expansion of the varied activities of the order. At his request, Swami Sharadananda had returned from America to assist in the organization of the Belur Math. Together with Swami Turiyananda, he conducted regular classes at the Mutt for the study of Sanskrit and of Eastern and Western philosophy. Somewhat later, the two Swamis were sent on a preaching mission to Gujarat in Western India, and for the same purpose, two of the Swami's own disciples were sent to East Bengal. Swami Shivananda was deputed to Ceylon to preach Vedanta. Reports of the excellent work done by Swamis Ramakrishna Order and Abhedananda in Madras and America were received at the Mutt. Swami Akhandananda's work for the educational uplift of the villages and also in establishing a home for the orphans elicited praise from the government. One of the most remarkable institutions founded by Swami Vivekananda was the Advaita Ashram at Mayavati in the Himalayas. Ever since his visit to the Alps in Switzerland, the Swami had been cherishing the desire to establish a monastery in the solitude of the Himalayas, where non-dualism would be taught and practiced in its purest form. Captain and Mrs. Sevier took up the idea, and the ashrama was established at Mayavati at an altitude of 6,500 feet. Before it, there shone, day and night, the eternal snow range of the Himalayas for an extent of some 200 miles, with Nanda Devi rising to a height of more than 25,000 feet. Spiritual seekers, irrespective of creed and race, were welcome at the monastery at Mayavati. No external worship of any kind was permitted within its boundaries. Even the formal worship of Sri Ramakrishna was excluded. It was required of the inmates and guests always to keep before their minds the vision of the nameless and formless spirit. Swami Vivekananda, in the following lines, laid down the ideals and principles of this Himalayan ashrama. In whom is the universe? Who is in the universe? Who is the universe? In whom is the soul? Who is in the soul? Who is the soul of man? To know him, and therefore, the universe, as our self alone, extinguishes all fear, brings an end to misery, and leads to infinite freedom. Wherever there has been expansion in love or progress in well-being of individuals or numbers, it has been through the perception, realization, and the practicalization of the eternal truth, the oneness of all beings. Dependence is misery, independence is happiness. The Advaita is the only system which gives unto man complete possession of himself and takes off all dependence and its associated superstitions, thus making us brave to suffer, brave to do, and in the long run, to attain to absolute freedom. Hitherto, it has not been possible to preach this noble truth entirely free from the settings of dualistic weakness. This alone, we are convinced, explains why it has not been more operative and useful to mankind at large. To give this one truth a freer and fuller scope in elevating the lives of individuals and leavening the mass of mankind. We start this Advaita Ashrama on the Himalayan heights, the land of its first formulation. Here it is hoped to keep Advaita free from all superstitions and weakening contaminations. Here will be taught and practiced nothing but the doctrine of unity, pure and simple. And though in entire sympathy with all other systems, this ashrama is dedicated to Advaita and Advaita alone. After the Swami's return from Kashmir, his health had begun to deteriorate visibly. His asthma caused him great suffering, but his zeal for work increased many times. "Ever since I went to Amarnath," he said one day, "Shiva himself has entered into my brain. He will not go." At the earnest request of the brother monks, he visited Kolkata frequently for treatment, yet even there he had no respite from work. Visitors thronged about him for religious instruction from morning till night, and his large heart could not say no to them. When the brother monks pressed him to receive people only at appointed hours, he replied, "They take so much trouble to come, walking all the way from their homes, and can I, sitting here, not speak a few words to them, merely because I risk my health a little?" His words sounded so much like those of Sri Ramakrishna during the latter's critical illness. No wonder that Swami Premananda said to him one day, "We do not see any difference between Sri Ramakrishna and you." But the Swami's greatest concern was the training of the sannyasins and brahmacharins, the future bearers of his message. And to this task he addressed himself with all his soul. He encouraged them in their meditation and manual work, himself setting the example. Sometimes he would cook for them, sometimes knead bread, till the garden, or dig a well. Again, he would train them to be preachers by asking them to speak before a gathering without preparation. Constantly he reminded the monks of their monastic vows, especially chastity and renunciation, without which deep spiritual perception was impossible. He attached great importance to physical exercise and said, "I want sappers and miners in the army of religion. So, boys, set yourselves to the task of training your muscles. For ascetics, mortification is all right. For workers, well-developed bodies, muscles of iron and nerves of steel." He urged them to practice austerities and meditation in solitude. For the beginners, he laid down strict rules about food. They were to rise early, meditate, and perform their religious duties scrupulously. Health must not be neglected, and the company of worldly people should be avoided. But above all, he constantly admonished them to give up idleness in any shape or form. Of himself he said, "No rest for me. I shall die in harness. I love action. Life is a battle, and one must always be in action. To use a military phrase, let me live and die in action." He was a living hymn of work. To a disciple who wanted to remain absorbed in the Brahman of Vedanta, the Swami thundered, "Why? What is the use of remaining always stupefied in samadhi? Under the inspiration of non-dualism, why not sometimes dance like Shiva and sometimes remain immersed in superconsciousness? Who enjoys a delicacy more, he who eats it all by himself, or he who shares it with others? Granted, by realizing Atman in meditation you attain mukti, but of what use is that to the world? We have to take the whole world with us to mukti. We shall set a conflagration in the domain of great Maya. Then only will you be established in the eternal truth. Oh, what can compare with that bliss immeasurable, infinite as the skies? In that state you will be speechless, carried beyond yourself, by seeing your own self in every being that breathes, and in every atom of the universe. When you realize this, you cannot live in this world without treating everyone with exceeding love and compassion. This is indeed practical Vedanta. He wanted his disciples to perform with accuracy and diligence the everyday tasks of life. He who knows even how to prepare a smoke properly knows also how to meditate, and he who cannot cook well cannot be a perfect sannyasin. Unless cooking is performed with a pure mind and concentration, the food is not palatable. Work cannot produce real fruit without detachment on the part of the worker. Only a great monk, the Swami said one day, can be a great worker, for he is without attachment. There are no greater workers than Buddha and Christ. No work is secular. All work is adoration and worship. The first duty of the inmates of the monastery was renunciation. How the Swami idolized the monastic life. Never forget, service to the world and the realization of God are the ideals of the monk. Stick to them. The monastic is the most immediate of the paths. Between the monk and his God there are no idols. The Sannyasin stands on the head of the Vedas. Declare the Vedas, for he is free from churches and sects and religions and prophets and scriptures. He is the visible God on earth. Remember this, and go thou thy way, Sannyasin bold, carrying the banner of renunciation, the banner of peace, of freedom, of blessedness. To a disciple who wanted to practice spiritual discipline to attain his own salvation, the Swami said, "You will go to hell if you seek your own salvation. Seek the salvation of others if you want to reach the highest. Kill out the desire for personal mukti. This is the greatest spiritual discipline. Work, my children, work with your whole heart and soul. That is the thing. Mind not the fruit of work. What if you go to hell working for others? That is worth more than to gain heaven by seeking your own salvation." Sri Ramakrishna came and gave his life for the world. I will also sacrifice my life. You also, every one of you, should do the same. All these works and so forth are only a beginning. Believe me, from the shedding of our lifeblood will arise gigantic, heroic workers and warriors of God who will revolutionize the whole world. He wanted his disciples to be all-round men. You must try to combine in your life immense idealism with immense practicality. You must be prepared to go into deep meditation now, and the next moment you must be ready to go and cultivate the fields. You must be prepared to explain the intricacies of the scriptures now, and the next moment to go and sell the produce of the fields in the market. The true man is he who is strong as strength itself, and yet possesses a woman's heart. He spoke of the power of faith. The history of the world is the history of a few men who had faith in themselves. That faith calls out the inner divinity. You can do anything. You fail only when you do not strive sufficiently to manifest infinite power. As soon as a man loses faith in himself, death comes. Believe first in yourself, and then in God. A handful of strong men will move the world. We need a heart to feel, a brain to conceive, and a strong arm to do the work. One man contains within him the whole universe. One particle of matter has all the energy of the universe at its back. In a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. His words, writes Romain Rolland, are great music, phrases in the style of Beethoven stirring rhythms like the march of Handel choruses. I cannot touch these sayings of his, scattered as they are through the pages of books at 30 years' distance, without receiving a thrill through my body, like an electric shock. And what shock! What transports must have been produced when in burning words they issued from the lips of the hero. The Swami felt he was dying, but he said, "Let me die fighting. 2 years of physical suffering have taken from me 20 years of life." But the soul changes not, does it? It is there, the same madcap, Atman, mad upon one idea, intent and intense. In our next episode, we embark on a transformative journey with Swami Vivekananda as he sets out on his second visit to the West. This voyage is more than a mere trip. It's a quest to rejuvenate his mission and deepen his spiritual teachings. Accompanied by Sister Nivedita and Swami Turiyananda, Vivekananda's travels take us through profound conversations and reflections that shed light on his evolving philosophy and vision. Join us as we explore this pivotal chapter of his life and the insights gained from this remarkable journey. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.